Greetings. Relationship tip. This tip is not solely grounded in one type of relationship, but is open to all. From the inception of personal encounters or personal dealings with relationship, I found that I have struggled with this. I found that up to this day, I'm still battling with this. And I could never find myself sane. I could never fathom. I just don't think I could ever say that I've mastered it. Because I truly do believe that there are depths and dimensions to this teaching and to this tip. There's so much dimensions to love as it pertains to the breadth, the width, the height, and the depth of. And for my comprehension to ever get to that point, for me to have the capacity to hold love and to say that I've arrived to full development, I think that's pure asinine obstinacy. I just think that is foolishness. And so this tip here deals with your love and its placement. The question I would pose to you, as I posed it to myself, as I'm going through this process of learning and gaining more understanding of love and where it should be located, the question is your love displaced? Is your love displaced? In our life, we grow to learn that there are things that are inevitable. There are many things that the Supreme One has created and fashioned in our life, and how we are to operate. There's things that we could never avoid, and there's things that we could never control. And so we grow and learn this. And so when we find things that we can manipulate and control, we tend to not want to let go of it. We tend to want to move it around in such a way that it makes us feel powerful. It makes us feel invincible. It makes us feel like we have made it to a point that we are now immortals within our own being, within our own mind, within our frames of ourselves. And so, is your love displaced? What I've noticed, what I've learned, and what you too have seen within yourself is that love is something we wish we could control at times. And that comes by the factors of seeing the results, seeing what happens after we've opened ourselves up to that emotion, after we've seen that we have taken certain plunges into the depths of love and found out that we almost drowned because we did not get the reciprocated expression of this love that we expected in the beginning. And what we find is that the vantage point that we're standing on is not where we have envisioned for ourselves. And so the thing is posed, whether or not you're standing in a valley place or whether or not you're standing on a mountainous plateau that helps you to see, and therefore you have a certain viewpoint that others could never take away from you. Yeah. In life, we find out that we put our chips on certain tables, just to find out a few minutes later that the chips that were placed on the table were blown away by those individuals that we have let them all out for. We find that the tables that the chips were placed on were kicked, and the legs were kicked from under it by the same individual that we laid out our feelings for and our deepest desires and our secrets for. And so what has happened is that we've gained this way of pacifying and this way of withholding the true nature of love and the expression that we have within us. We've trapped it and we've hidden it under the bowl, the same bowl that we've used to cover up our breastplate. We've covered up our chest area with, because our heart were pricked by that last individual, and we don't want that new present individual to come forth and to pull another dagger from a secret place and hurt us, because the pain was unbearable the last time and the burden was heavy, and you found yourself eating the tears from your eyes as loaves, and you found yourself being in a place of isolation when many others needed you, and so your love became displaced. And it's quite normal, and we react to it in ways that we find to be very, very nurturing and comforting to us, because we will not have to go through that again. But what happened is that our love becomes displaced, and we put tension and tremors on our previous relationship or the upcoming relationships that's right there being set up and prepared for us. But what we've done is not prepared ourselves, because our love has been displaced. And it's that fear of the unknown, knowing whether or not this thing will work out, knowing whether or not you will get that happily ever after dream that you've already written years ago, whether or not this individual is just toying with your heart, or whether or not you will end up falling into a cycle that will hurt you more than the last one. And so it's that fear of the unknown that makes us hide our heart in the darkness of the day, when in turn we need to put it in the light so we can inspect it, so that others can see how much love and how much expression that we have from God the Father Almighty to pour and to give into them. And it's hidden away deep within our bosom, to the point that we ourselves have forgotten how it smells like, how it tastes like. So that fragrance of knowledge has now been sealed and concealed from yourself, so you don't even see that you have been holding back from expressing the nature that God has put in you to express to every individual you come in contact with. So is your love displaced because you've been hurt and beaten and battered by your past? Has it been displaced so much that you find your head being trapped behind you and your body is trying to move forward, but your mind is telling you no, so your mind is still entangled with the things of the past? Your heart kind of wants to go, but then your heart is stuck betwixt and between. And I know it's so easy for us to try to control it, because if I take matters in my own hand, I can do it the right way, and I will not be hurt like I was in the past. My expectations will not be cut off so much because I did not make it grow to the full extent. So if it was cut, I only fall from 2 feet off the ground. So I'm able to dust myself off with a smile and a smirk and carry forth into something new. Your love being displaced hinders you from getting or gaining or acquiring or obtaining something so grand that it will wash away the memory of the past hurt. What happens because we have not gained the things that we desired, and so it has caused us to become hardened to the hope in something good coming our way, the hope of goodness and pleasures being put in our mouth and in our hands. But I'm here to tell you, many are our plans, many are the plans within our hearts, because our hearts can strive so much, but our hearts are wicked. So many are the plans that we come up with, but those things are not necessarily established. But the purpose and destiny that God has for us, those things are decreed and they're never moved. So establish your love once again in God. knowing that the God and the hope of mercy in God will work it all the things out, whether it may not work out for what you want, but know that this thing that you need, God will supply it. And because those things, if we would truly get all the things we want, who knows how jacked up we would be? Who knows the outcomes? But the God who knoweth all, the God that we could never fully describe, that God that is beyond words, that translates human language, that God that's beyond description, that God that surpasses anthropomorphism. Hey, glory to God. The God that at the end of the day, words do not suffice. That God is able to set it up in such a way that the things that we receive accommodate for our purpose. It accommodates for our purpose. It accommodates for the promise that was set in us. So be encouraged. Do not allow your love to remain displaced.